So how do you generate leads on social media as an insurance agent? I have Mr. Mark Cassara here to describe exactly how you can do just that. Mark has been doing this for a number of years successfully on different insurance platforms. And what we're going to be doing is having a deep dive conversation on all the strategies, processes, and everything that's necessary, like what equipment to do in order to be successful in generating your own self-generated leads on social media. So, Mark, how you doing?
Hey man, appreciate being here. Thanks for the opportunity to share some knowledge and help our agents, no matter what company we're in, help agents level up their business for sure.
Yeah, so why don't you start by giving the audience a little bit about your background, how you got into insurance, and then how you've been using social media to generate your own insurance prospects.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. So I was believe it or not, in ministry for many, many years. I was a youth pastor, young adult pastor for maybe 10, 15 years. And I got out of ministry and kind of into the marketplace to start my own business. Did some marketing advertising for some years. Worked for a couple startup companies out of Nashville, Tennessee. And all the while, the stuff that I was learning in the marketing and advertising space, generating leads and websites and graphic designs, I said, I need to be doing something more with this. So, long story short, compact version, I met a guy on Facebook, believe it or not, who prospected me. We were in some other groups together. We did some crypto stuff and some other marketing stuff. We were just kind of in groups together. But we developed a friendship, and he reached out to me one day. He said, "Hey, what do you know about life insurance? Are you guys properly set up? Do you have, some type of estate plan for you and your family if something were to happen?" I said, "No, I never really thought about it, right?" And so I ended up getting life insurance through him. I have a family of my wife and I, and then we have 6 kids. We have a set of triplets that are
Wow.
8, a set of twins that are 12 right now, and our oldest is 26 years old. She's out of the
Nice.
house,
Nice job.
but but she traded places because she had a baby. We're taking care of the grandson now. So I'm a grandpa at 42 years old, man.
Wow.
Um,
Congrats.
yeah. So I ended up getting life insurance from this guy, and he tried to recruit me into the business at that point. He was like, "Hey, have you ever considered, with the experience and the knowledge that you have you ever considered getting into life insurance sales?" And I said, "No way, never in a million years would I do that." I didn't know. I didn't know anything about the industry. And so he said, "All right, I'll follow up with you." So it was literally a 24-month follow up. I kept putting him on red. I
Wow.
kept just delaying it. And I was like, all right. I came to a place in my life where I was just like tired of being sick and tired of running paycheck to paycheck, working 3, 4 jobs at a time, just trying to make ends meet, especially with the amount of kids that I have. So I said, "All right, Jesse Moon, let me talk to you. What do you got going on? How are you helping families? Is it a decent, honest living? And if you taught me, could I do the same?" He said, "Absolutely. Let's jump on a Zoom call." And the rest was history. I did it. I did virtual sales for about 6 to 8 months, just part time, spare time. And I leveraged him as he had the knowledge, he had the experience in the industry. So I split my policies with him for the first 6 to 8 months. But believe it or not, in that 8 month period, I made just about $100,000 in income, in commission at that point. We were doing final expense, we were doing IULs, we were doing whole life, we were doing annuities. So it was kind of the whole gamut. And I said, "Man, imagine if I spent the amount of time I spent at my full-time job, 6 to 8 hours, 12 hours sometimes a day, and I invested that time into myself. Imagine what traction I could get." So I ended up quitting my job just about 8 months into the business, went in full time. My wife and I just decided this is the route that we wanted to go. And from that point on, every year, we just about doubled our income. And so we're growing an agency at this point. We got probably 15 to 20 agents underneath us. And it's been a wild run, man. It's been a wild run. But I've learned to leverage social media, and social media has been the game changer for me and my agents in my business.
Yeah. So go ahead and explain when you say game changer, like, how do you mean? How is this any different than buying leads? And then
For
how
sure.
did you find yourself even getting started on social media as a primary platform to generate leads?
Yeah, absolutely. When I first started out, I didn't have $500 to $1,000 a month to spend on leads, even the initial investment, because I know you can make an initial investment and then work on the profits, right? Work on the commission that you get and just take a portion of that and keep investing in leads. I didn't have the luxury of that at the point, and I didn't even have a credit card to swipe. And so I was reliant on my warm market. We were in a business model at the time, which was a little more network marketing style, a little more MLM style. And we worked our warm market heavily. So I worked off of my friends, my families, my neighbors, my acquaintances. We ran a lot of appointments with them. We got referrals from there. We kind of built our book of business straight from the warm referral based market. And from that point on, I said, man, TikTok was blowing up at the time. We're talking 2000, maybe 2020, I believe it was. TikTok really exploded during the pandemic. And I said, man, face to face wasn't even a thing for us because everything was shut down. And that's when I got into the industry. I was a pandemic baby. And so I don't know about meeting people face to face. I've never done that. I've always done remote telesales, Zoom sales. You know, every once in a while I'll meet somebody local now, but back then it wasn't a thing. So I said, I only had probably maybe 1,000 people following me on Facebook. I said, I wonder if what I was doing for other companies at the time, helping them grow their brand on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, if I could just turn around and use those same skills for myself. So I started a TikTok account, 0 followers. And I started during that time, there was a lot of talk about the government giving stimulus checks and what do you do with the stimulus and just protecting yourself. And I think even life insurance was a big topic as well because of mortality. People were thinking about, God, if something happens, you know, is my family going to be all right? So I started a TikTok channel. I just started dripping content that was valuable. Didn't even try to sell. Hey, do you know the difference between term and whole life and, you know, final expense? And do you know what an annuity is? And do you know what the rule of 72 is? And do you know what compound interest is? And I just started to drip in value and value. And so my TikTok channel went from 500 to 1,000 to 20,000 to 50,000 to 60,000. And I grew my channel within 12 months to about 600,000 followers on TikTok.
Nice.
During that time, my DMs were flooded. Now, mind you, I've never paid for a lead. I've never run Facebook ads. I've never even talked to a lead vendor because my career started out in social media. That was my journey because that's what I was forced to do. So I grew TikTok to 600,000. Then I started taking some of the videos and repurposing them on Instagram and Facebook. Not recording new videos. I would take the content that was already going viral. I would download it, scrape the watermark off of it, and then put it on TikTok or put it on Instagram and Facebook. On Facebook, something changed with the algorithm. About 2 years ago, you were able to switch your account over to a professional profile. There was a certain setting that you clicked, it made you a professional profile. It allowed people to follow you versus just friend you. That
Mm,
was another game changer. So I repurposed my content, million hits on one video, 10 million hits on another video,
nice.
25 million hits. And so I went from 3,000 followers to 900,000 followers on Facebook. My personal profile,
Wow.
I have 900,000 followers. Now, don't get me wrong. Just because you have 1 million followers doesn't mean anything. You still got to work. You still got to grind. There's a lot of follow up in place. But that was my experience from nothing to where I'm at today. And it's been a complete game changer for me.
So in creating the content, was there, you know, I think people think there's like the way it works is you just create content and then something goes viral, right? You create that piece of content, the algorithms love it, and then it propels you to some next level. Did that happen to you, or was it a gradual process? What did that look like?
It was a lot of throwing spaghetti at the wall, believe it or not, to trying to see what stuck. And once we found out what stuck, right? What maybe it was the way that we said it, the images that we put in there, the description, the hashtags. Once we found a model that worked, we ran that wave for as long as it would last. So there's kind of like it's like a hybrid. Yes, you just start posting. Don't overthink it. Just start posting. The more you post, the more the algorithm is going to pick up on your content, and then you're going to feel which one works the best. Then you hone in on that and you start doing what works. It's like running Facebook ads. You're going to do 5 ads at a time. You figure out which one optimizes the best, and then you delete the other ones and just focus all your money on that one particular ad. It's the same thing with content. You're going to figure out what works best, and then you're going to drive it. Now, the algorithm is a whole nother beast. That can change on the drop of a dime. And we saw that. We ran our social media for a year one way, and then at 12 months and 13 months in, the algorithm shifted. And what we were doing the last year did not work for the next year. So again, we had to split test and we had to test the different ways we put content out there. So it's just a matter of you being conscious of what works and what doesn't work, putting more attention on what works versus what doesn't work, and always being in tune with what the algorithm's putting out as well.
So if we fast forward to today, 2024, and we talk about the algorithm, which ultimately is the thing all of us content producers are always concerned about with, is this piece of content going to get traction? Are we going to get eyeballs, get subscribers, get business, right? What is working now, kind of at a basic level for all the platforms that you're on? If you can kind of go through each of those to help these agents out there who are thinking about creating content, at least know where to start.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing you have to understand, and we do a lot of training on this with our agents. We have, we've been training some other agencies as well. So one thing that we realized is that the same thing that works on TikTok may not work on Instagram. So even if you take a video that is hitting and going viral on TikTok and you put it on Instagram, it may be a big flop. So each platform has its own way. And here's the thing that people need to understand: you'll never figure out the algorithm. They create it that way so that it's a mystery and you're always chasing the carrot.
Right.
Always. You'll even the gurus that say, I got the algorithm, I unlocked the code, right? They're lying, because you can't. It's proprietary software that they've built into their system, and they don't let the juice out. It's like Coca-Cola's, the ingredients for the Coca-Cola will never be touched because nobody can figure out how they create it. It's the same thing with the algorithm. So on TikTok, what I've noticed is, and it's changed within the last few months, longer than 1 minute on TikTok tends to get a little more traction. Back in the day, it was like 7-second videos that were popping. It was 30-second videos that were popping. Now the algorithm wants longer content. Why? Because they're trying to compete with platforms like YouTube.
Right.
They're trying to compete with platforms like Facebook, where you can upload 10-minute videos, 20-minute videos at a time. So longer form on TikTok is working. What I see working on Instagram are videos where you're not necessarily talking, but you have B-roll, which is just kind of like imagery in a video, and then you put text on the screen with a read my caption, little highlight. And so in the description of the Instagram videos, you're going to have a detailed description of whatever message you want to convey, whether it's why you need a final expense, or why an IUL may be a good fit, or why whole life is the best, or why you need to roll over your money into a indexed annuity. Whatever the case is of what you're selling, you're going to put a detailed description in there. That seems to be taken off on Instagram. Facebook is a little more organic. It's a little more authentic. People are looking for that authentic touch. They don't want the shiny description, or what's it called? When you put the words at the bottom of the screen, captions. I lost my
Oh,
train of thought for
really?
a second.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't need the shiny captions and the cutting the screens and the frames. Facebook is a little more organic. They just want you talking, and they just want you sharing maybe a story. Story time is a game changer on Facebook right now, because people are scrolling until their attention is captured by something you're saying. So obviously there's strategy to it. You have to have a good hook in the first 2 to 3 seconds of your video. You have to have a good meat in that content that you're giving a lot of value, and then you have to have a CTA at the end. That works universally across every platform.
Right.
But the way that you're giving that message is going to be a little different on each platform. And I go from TikTok to Instagram, Facebook, and we're experimenting a little bit with X, formerly known as Twitter. You can start to upload videos just like you would on YouTube. I think they're going to compete with YouTube pretty soon. But that, that's kind of in a nutshell, without getting too much in the weeds, what I would look for.
You do anything on LinkedIn?
I did for a while. I didn't find as much traction. I think LinkedIn for me is a little more business to business.
Yeah.
It's a great recruiting tool for people who are looking for a new start in a new industry. So I do a lot of recruiting on LinkedIn. Haven't found much traction when it comes to life insurance sales, policy sales.
Right. So, we've gone through what, 3 or 4 platforms here.
Mhm.
There's a lot to know. There's individual dynamics with each platform. Do you recommend an agent start with one, start with both, and explain why?
Yeah, yeah. We always train our agents the 80-20 rule. 80% of your time should be spent on one platform that you're getting the most engagement on, and then 20% should be kind of sprinkled in through the other ones. So for me, 80% of my energy was on TikTok because that's where the eyeballs were. That's where I was getting the most conversion. That's where I was getting the most traction. So if I'm posting 5 posts on, in a 24-hour period, 3 to 4 of those posts would be on TikTok, whether it's in the form of a new video or a duet or a stitch. There's a couple different versions of videos that you can put up there. Now they're looking more for static images, believe it or not, on
Mm.
TikTok. They're actually boosting static images. If you have a carousel, like here's 3 reasons why you need a final expense for your parents. And then the next slide is list those 3 reasons. And then the third slide is your call to action. Hey, make sure you click the link in my bio to get in touch with me to set up your final expense. Those tend to be being boosted right now on TikTok. But I would say 80% of your energy, and this is where testing comes in. You have to kind of look at your analytics and say, where am I getting the most traction? Where am I getting the most eyeballs? So I'd say a good 80-20 rule is start with one platform and then slowly drip your content onto the other platforms. I have an agent that Instagram is blowing up for him, but for me, I can't get past, a couple hundred views on my post, right?
Yeah.
But they're getting tens of thousands of views. So it really, it's not one size fit all. You literally have to do the due diligence and figure out what works best for you and then go heavy on it.
That's how it was for me and always has been, like 90% of what we do is YouTube. Like I
Yeah,
get YouTube, I understand YouTube, it makes sense to me. But when I try something else, it's like foreign language. I think we see that with a lot, especially getting started.
for sure.
Focus is critical in everything. It's
Yeah,
hard enough to be good at one thing versus many.
absolutely.
Case studies. You have some case studies prepared for us. I was hoping, again, for our audience that maybe have never filmed a video or are kind of worried about filming a video. If you've got an example of something that has worked well for you and maybe can talk through why it worked well and how you made it, just to, again, inspire some confidence to some of these
For
people to
sure.
go try it out. So my screen is able to be shared. So whenever you're ready, you can just share the screen and then
For
we can
sure. Yeah.
definitely take a
What
look.
I'll do first is I'll give an example of clients that we've been able to acquire through social media, and then maybe I can share a couple videos that I've posted that have went viral to show you kind of what I did
Yeah,
in order to allow that kind of the algorithm to pick up.
sure.
Now, hopefully my connection doesn't lag too much. Try to keep my tabs to a limit. I had to close about 150 tabs a minute ago because that's just how I work. It's the
Mark, if
ADHD.
it slows down, we'll just edit the video in.
Awesome.
So
Cool.
we'll see.
So I'll give you a for instance, right? I did a Facebook post, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many client or how many followers you really have, right? Because I can have 1 million followers, but if only 1% of those people are actually seeing my post, it makes no difference. Whether you have 1 million or you have, 10,000, it really makes no difference. And so what I've found is at the end of the day, people look at my accounts and I probably have 2 million followers across, 3 different platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And what I've noticed is people kind of elevate me like, oh, you're just doing so well because you have so many followers. And I'm trying to very kindly explain to them, Facebook only shows your post to maybe 1 or 2% of your
Yeah,
followers at a time.
yeah,
Imagine if my posts were shown to 900,000 followers at once. I wouldn't be able to contain the amount of traction that I need to connect with everybody and follow up with everybody. So it's almost like a blessing in disguise, but it is a bummer sometimes because, when I was first starting out, I only had a couple thousand followers, but here's something cool. I put out a post one time about we do a lot of different stuff. Infinite banking, IULs, term mortgage. We do it all. We do it all. We tend to specialize in more of the advanced markets. So higher net worth earners, a higher income that want to put up a lump sum and kind of grow it over the next few years, access it for capital. So I had this one guy reach out to me. He said, Mark, I've seen your posts. I have $1 million sitting in my bank account right now, and I don't know what to do with it. And at the time I was kind of like a new agent. I was a little intimidated. I was like, what am I supposed to say to this guy? Right.
Right.
I
Yeah.
was probably only maybe 8 months in as a fresh agent. Well, I reached out to a good coach of mine, mentor, Jesse Moon, and I said, hey, man, you've been in the industry a lot longer than me. How the heck do I even respond to this guy? He said, let's set up a follow up and let's go ahead and get him on a Zoom call. We'll do a 3-way Zoom and I'll educate him. I'll answer any of his questions and we'll see if it's something that we can move forward on. So I messaged the guy. I said, yes, listen, I'd love to get you in touch with my broker. I'd love for him to answer any questions for you. So we jumped on. We did probably, it was probably a 3-touch follow up. We met with him, educated him. Our follow up meeting, he had a little bit more questions. Our follow up meeting, he felt a little more confident. We built that trust over time. And he was like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to put my money in the market because I don't want to risk it. I don't want to lock it up in real estate because then I can't get it back if I needed it. He said, what you're explaining to me, we showed him, an IBC type policy. He said, this seems to be the right fit. As long as it's designed properly, he said, I'm pretty comfortable with this. So we ended up taking $1 million. We did a couple things with it. We actually rolled the $1 million into a fixed indexed annuity. And
Nice.
the annuity, just on an agent level, we've got about a 7% commission off of that. So we made
Nice.
about $70,000 off of that $1 million annuity. We split it obviously 50-50 between me and my coach. But for a brand new agent, that was life changing.
That's killer, man.
That gave me the confidence and the ability to quit my part-time job and say, you know what, if I could do 1 or 2 of these a year, I'm gonna be all in, right?
I'll
So
add this too, Mark. I
go
don't mean
for
to
it.
interrupt, but I think
No,
this
go
is
for it.
this is really critical to understand because I understand how you may not understand this because all you've done is organic when
Sure.
it comes to leads, but like we do a bunch of paid leads and the system works.
Yeah,
But the thing with organic that's so powerful is that they're about 9/10 closed by the time they talk to you because what you don't understand is that they've gone down the proverbial black hole of watching your content. They feel you're like a celebrity on TV, even though you're just normal dude.
that's
And
exactly
when
right.
they
You're
talk to you, it's
exactly
like
right.
they know you, they like you, they trust you. It's your first time dealing with them, but they're almost to the point of like, what do I do? Tell me what to do with all this money or this prop. Like that is a position of authority and leverage that you cannot get with a paid lead.
You're absolutely
And
right.
and I just want everybody to understand that, like, and the good business and the quality of the business is way better than what you'll ever get with leads. It's
It's
different
so true.
and
It's so
absolutely worth
true.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, so true. And they do look at you as like this star. It's like they look at you like you're a movie, like you're a movie actor or something. And when I meet with people, it's the funniest thing. You're absolutely right because by the time they get into your funnel, they've already watched and consumed your content for months at a time at,
Right.
at,
Yeah.
at certain points. I have people come into me and they say, Mark, I've been watching you for a year. I've been watching you for 2 years. I've learned to trust you. I have confidence in what you're doing. You're consistent. I'm ready to move forward. That'll be $1,000 a month IUL or,
Yeah.
$10,000 a year annual premium or something like that. Right. And it's so powerful, but it comes with a cost. It comes with a price because people learn to trust you. And if you have any bad motives, you can really
Right.
screw people over in a really bad way. So you have to make sure you're fiduciary in that respect, where you're doing the best for the client and not for yourself.
Yeah.
My motto is mission before commission, always. And I teach my agents the same thing. You could easily puff up the death benefits and make a couple extra hundred to a couple $1,000s if you wanted to. I said, but you're never ever going to sleep peacefully at night if you do that. So
And you're
our goal is obviously, to really treat the client in the best interest possible.
Yeah, and the money takes care of itself in this business if you do right by people.
Yes.
And at the Tower of Babel it takes a long time to build, but seconds to collapse, and your
Yes.
reputation and brand that you can build off of this is just you
Oh,
don't understand how big it can get.
yeah.
That's what I would tell people. Even like where I'm at right now, 10 years ago, I was just some dude filming on an iPhone for some
Yeah.
useful content for final expense face-to-face people. And I've built this great business because of it. And I stuck to my guns. I've been consistent.
Yeah.
And where's it going from here? Who knows?
Right.
Maybe the next Mr. Beast. So I don't know.
Yeah. I love it. Consistency is the key though, right?
It is.
We have agents coming in, they're running and gunning in the very beginning. And because, 6 weeks later, they're not getting the traction that they hoped for, they end up quitting or they end up not posting as much. And then they, fall back on their old ways. And so I'd say, one biggest tip for me was no matter what the numbers are, no matter what the likes are, no matter what the views are on your videos, don't stop.
How long should they
Because,
be committed? I think that's a great
oh,
question.
12 months, easy.
Don't
12
expect
months easy.
anything for 12 months. Is that a safe
I
thing?
mean, I mean,
I
you
bet
you
you'll get stuff, but the mindset should
correct.
be just
Mindset should be give it a year.
good.
Absolutely. Because here's what happened. For the first year, it's just figuring out what works, what doesn't work. A year and a month in, one of my videos got 25 million views and it changed the course of my entire business.
And
And
let me tell y'all some pro tips. This is the other thing.
yeah,
Most people won't last 12 months. That's
for sure.
why, and that we're telling you this as a guy in my own way that's successful as well as you, Mark. Like part of the doing it for 12 months is that most people don't have the capacity just to stick to something that long. They get frustrated and they go back into their bad habits and then complain about never getting ahead, but it's because they didn't put the time in that it requires.
So
So
true.
there's a natural filtering effect that you're about the only person around after 12, 18 months of doing this. And it's no wonder you're successful because everybody else quit. So
Correct. It's true. And we've gotten some one-on-one mentorship and coaching from Patrick Bet David. And at the time we were working with him, he had noticed a couple of my videos on Facebook. I didn't even know he knew who my name was
that's
at
cool.
that
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
right? He reached out to me. He said, "Hey, you're doing a great job on social media. This is exactly what I did for Valuetainment. I kept to my guns. I was consistent. I didn't care who said what or how many views I got. 4 or 5 years later, he's had, millions of followers on his YouTube channel. And so he said, if you're consistent and you stick with it long enough, the sky's the limit. And
Yeah.
so I took that advice to heart, and I was, I just here I am 4.5 years later, 2 million followers and multiple six-figure business.
So let's look at some examples here. If you don't mind, we got about 15 minutes here or
Sure.
so. So you can share the screen, or if you want to,
Yeah,
let's take a look at an example of
for
something
sure.
that's performed well for you and kind of just break down why it worked and what
For
makes it work.
sure. So this is my TikTok. I started brand new, fresh, scratch, zero. It's about 2 years old, right? Got a good headshot, got a good bio in there, making sure you're looking professional. People need to know who you are, what you do, how you can help them. And then I have my link in there. You can't get a link until you have about 1,000 followers on TikTok. So make sure you ramp up your content 3 to 4 times a day, literally 3 to 4 times. Most people won't do that. They'll do one a day, two a day, 3 to 4, even 3 to 5 pieces of content a day for the first 6 weeks to get the mojo working in your account. Once you hit 1,000 followers, you can put a link in there. The link goes to a landing page that allows somebody to schedule a financial strategy call with me. They can watch a webinar that I created. They can apply to work with me. They can download a lead magnet that I have. So that's crucial in
Cool.
business.
Yeah.
A lot of people just put in their calendar link and think they're going to just book their entire calendar out. What I've found is people are less likely to book a call with you if you put your calendar link in there than they are if you were to go to some type of two-step funnel where
Yeah.
people can actually see what you provide, how you can help them, and then they'll say, "Oh, okay, now I'm going to click and book a call with you." So
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a pro tip right there.
Yep.
As far as videos go, we'll do a couple of my most viral videos. We got one right here. This is an awesome recruiting video right here. This was a duet I did. And basically the guy was talking about what is the best what is the easiest job to have essentially. And I did it's called a stitch where I took like 10 seconds of his video and then I replied to it. And I essentially just replied to how awesome the life insurance industry was, how awesome being a life insurance agent is, and how you can help people with annuities and you can get paid this large commission for just helping somebody protect their money. And I got, 26,000 shares,
Wow.
1,400 comments, 334,000 likes. And these comments, although some people are rough around the edges and they'll call you a scammer and all that
Yeah.
stuff. You'll
Everybody
get
gets
that.
that. Pay no
You'll
attention.
get that whatever. Correct. You'll get that wherever you go. There are also a lot of people that I recruited from this. And a lot of people who reached out to me, or they got the information and they started with another company. Hey, whatever floats your boat, wherever you work best, whatever company you work best under. But this was a great recruiting tool. And this video got, 2.6 million views. And I still get people commenting on it
That's
to this
awesome.
day. I probably posted this I don't, yeah, I posted this in 2021. and I still have people commenting on it today. So short form video is evergreen. It lasts forever. People will find your videos 10 years down the road, and they may want to work with you, or they may want to get a policy from something you said in a video. And you know that off of YouTube.
Mhm.
It's a great way to do it. I had another one here that this was basically the banks were hate me for this, and it basically says, you know, the worst thing you can do is leave a large sum of money in the banks because of the amount of interest that you earn in your account, which is 0.04 to 0.06%, and the amount of inflation that's in our economy, 4, 5, 6%. You're losing out on purchasing power. Instead, do this. And it talked about an annuity. It talked about an IUL. It talked about just a couple different options there. Well, I got 1,500 saves, 118 comments, 6,494 likes. And all those comments were a potential warm lead. Now, not that I was able to get back to 1,100 leads, but
Mhm.
little by little, you can keep going back to that post, to the new comments, and you can say, hey, I saw you, had commented on this a while back. Are you still interested? So these comments that come in, they're considered warm leads. They're warm leads. They just either need to reach out to you or you need to reach out to them. And that's where the due diligence comes in. I could have 1 million followers, but if I'm not putting the work in, the manual labor to reach out to these, thank them for commenting, ask them if they'd like to schedule a free consultation, they're going to probably move on to the next shiny object or to the
Right.
next agent, right? And I've had that happen too. You can't reach out to everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the best you can is put a little call to action in there. Click the link in my bio. At the end of the video, you'll see a call to action. Should say, click the link in my bio somewhere, and people will go to my bio. They'll go ahead and click that link, and boom, they'll come into my funnel. And the funnel is made to be wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. Not everybody's going to make it through your funnel, but
Right.
those people who want the information you have to provide for them, they're going to come through, and they're going to end up coming through and booking a call with you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So those are a few examples that have worked for me, and there's multiple like that across multiple platforms. But that's in a nutshell how it works.
Yeah, and I'll just provide my perspective on this. What I would advise everybody to do, the simplest way is the first half of this is having content that is compelling, is engaging, and gets people liking and trusting you to some degree. But just as equally important, and a lot of content people or creators forget this, like what you're saying here, is you have to have a way to capture the information, right? Like social media is where the eyeballs are at, but you have to capture their email, their phone number, some sort of form of contact, because not everybody's going to be ready to make a move or ready to take action. And there's no guarantee they're ever going to see your videos ever again. And I do this, we drive people to a free training site. Again, this is more in the recruiting scheme of things, to get their contact information, to develop a relationship with them. Because again, they could just walk away and go to one of my competitors that are on YouTube recruiting this in the same field.
Correct.
And a lot of people don't do this, and it's an absolute must if you want to build a funnel and have consistent sales over time.
Sure.
Um, Thank you for sharing that, by the way. That was excellent. I'm taking notes too myself.
Absolutely.
Um, okay. Fundamentally, what should agents avoid doing as far as content creation goes? Like some big things that are just mistakes.
For sure. Yeah. I think overthinking, having analysis paralysis, thinking that you need to look perfect, you need to sound perfect, you need to have the perfect background. My first couple videos, and they mortify me when I go back and watch them, and I'm sure you can relate. Starting out YouTube, go and look at your your first couple videos. You're like, oh my gosh, I sounded like. And so my first couple videos were just uncut, unsharpened. I said a lot of ums and oohs and ahs, and I just totally messed up. But the point is, 6 months later, I found my groove. I found out what worked, what didn't work. I found out how to maybe edit a little bit here and there. And there's plenty of apps that you can download on your phone that are absolutely free that help you edit. But I'd say in the very beginning, don't worry about the shininess. Just click record and post your dang video. That's all I'll say. Don't worry about captions. Don't worry about effects. Don't worry about transitions. Just get a little bit of value. And here's the thing about value. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to be a few pages ahead of the
Right.
average person to be considered the expert. Does that make sense?
Relative. Yeah, that's all it.
Relative to what you're talking
Right.
about, like I know more than 99% of the general population about term insurance, final expense, IUL's whole life, but I am far from the industry expert that knows, that's been in the industry for 25 years. Does that make sense? But I'm just a few pages ahead of the average person. And so analysis paralysis is a killer. It will stop you dead in your tracks from posting 3 to 5 times a day. It'll stop you in your tracks from posting 1 time a day.
Yeah.
So I'd say don't worry about the shininess of it. Your first few videos are going to be a mess. Just keep going and be consistent. And eventually you will be shined and you will look all put together. But it's not going to happen at the very beginning.
Yeah, and I'll speak to this too. I mentor agencies in my agency that want to build a social media platform, build an agency, but use social media to get recruits. And it's the same thing, man. There's one agent, he's a great agent. He does an awesome job. And I've been talking to him for more than a year to just film some content and get it out there. Like, but it's
Yeah.
got to be just so, and got to have the right lighting and the this and that. And it never gets started. And another year has passed where he is not tapping into this huge opportunity like myself and a few others do. Why I know we all have our head trash, but that's all it is. It's just head trash. Like,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
if your commitment is to the viewer and helping them out and doing the best job that you can, the effects don't matter.
Yeah.
The quality of the production doesn't matter. As long as you can be clearly heard, like the sound does have to be good. And as
Yeah,
long
sure.
as, your camera's not a potato you're filming through,
Yeah.
people will resonate with that and they'll
Yeah.
like you for it. And that's all it is. Don't overcomplicate this thing. And I assure you, just like Mark and I have gotten better, you do more, you get better faster. And it sounds overwhelming to do 5 pieces of content, but guess what happens? You get way better real quick. And as you get better, things pick up traction more, you're more successful. So you just have to embrace the fact that
I'd say at this point in my career, I have $3,000 cameras and lights and certain things that make me look more appealing. When I first started out, I had an iPhone. That's it. I'd say if you're just starting out and you're just trying to figure out this social media thing, couple key components is make sure you have good light on your face. Right now, I have my blinds open up in my office, so I have good natural light coming in. You can even just get a desk lamp to give you a little extra, shadowing in your face, and then your iPhone. You don't have to invest in thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Get your iPhone out, stand in front of a window, and record a decent 30-second clip. You can batch record in the beginning of the week and then just post as the week goes on. Or if you're ADHD brain like me, I just post as I feel led and as I feel inspired. I'll just post 3 to 5 videos per day on the cuff. Most people can't do that though, right? So get good light, have an iPhone or an Android. If you have an Android, I'm sorry. But if you're part of the iPhone club, hey, you have the best brand out there. What do you have, an iPhone or an Android, by the way?
me, I have an iPhone.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. If you had an Android, you'd probably just end the video right now, right? But yeah, man, just point, click, record, get good lighting, make sure your sound is on par. And then a year or two down the road, then you can start investing in better equipment.
Yeah, so I'll just share my screen just to bolster up what you're saying.
Yep.
This video was published in, I don't know, 2014 is what I would say. And I'm just gonna go ahead a little bit here. Hopefully something will play here. Yeah, so here's me on one of my first videos.
Nice.
I'm in, you know, I don't know what this is, some kind of room, but I'm standing in front of a video or a window, just like you said. I'm using the iPhone 4, ladies and gentlemen. And
The
like they don't
four.
care, people don't care. I
Yeah,
mean, you're going to have some people have comments. There's cobwebs in the back up there. I should have cleaned off, right? I see that now.
I love it.
But it's all about delivering value, and that's the only thing I was concerned with when doing this stuff. And that is fundamentally the truth, no matter what you're doing. So don't get hung up on this, like lighting and stuff. Just do the basics
Yeah,
and put your soul into it to help people. That's
absolutely.
really what it's about. So, where can people find out more about what you do, your channels? We're going to put the links in the comments below in the descriptions, of course, but where do you want to send people now
Yeah,
that
for sure. I mean, my name across social media, Mark Cassara, TikTok, Mark Cassara on Facebook, YouTube, Mark Cassara. And then the only one that's different as you can hear, my kids in the background, it's lunchtime, and so they're it's like a frenzy. The only thing that's different is Instagram, real Mark Cassara, because Mark Cassara was taken, believe it or not, some jazz musician. I don't know. He has the same name as
Some
me. I don't
faker.
know.
Right.
Yeah, some phony.
Filling
But
it out.
Mark Cassara, for the most part, we have we have a CRM system that we're putting agents on. If anybody needs that, I know you may have some software that you work with some guys with, but if anybody needs help or some training, we always offer training as well. I do a lot of free training. We're about to do a free training in the insurance group that we're a part of as well. Just free value, not trying to sell or pitch anything. I just really want to see people level up. I want to see the insurance industry explode, because for far too long we've been losing agents, and we need to start to build up agents, and it needs to be the prestigious career that it used to be back in the 60s and 70s. And
Sure.
I'm super excited just about helping people out.
Mark, thank you for being here.
Appreciate the time, brother. Thanks so much.